Okay. It's 3:00. And I call to order the Board of Directors meeting for August 3rd, 2023. And Rachel, could I get you to, I have a couple of things first. The Board of Directors meeting is conducted in hybrid format, both in person and remote, and is recorded and live stream. Today's board meeting has two opportunities for public comment. First, during a public hearing, we will take any comments related to the Transit Development Plan. Once the public hearing closes, we will open the floor for general public comments. So Rachel, will you call the roll, please?
Thank you. Councilmember Daughtry.
I'm present.
Thank you. Mayor Frizzell. Mayor Marine.
Here.
Thank you. Councilmember Mead. Councilmember Merrill.
I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Nearing.
Here, thank you.
Thank you. Labor Representative Norton.
Here. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Peterson. Okay. Oh, Mayor Frizzell. Oh, I believe is in progress of joining the meeting, so we'll circle back to that. Mayor Roberts.
I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Schweddy.
Present.
And then Mayor Frizzell, do we have you on with your microphone? Okay. Sorry, just gonna see if I can. See here. Okay, great. Chair, that concludes roll. And we do have a quorum. As far as our board alternates go, let's see here. We do have Councilmember Mike Gallagher in the room and Councilmember Payne.
Present.
Thank you so much. And Mayor Matsumuro, right, we also have online. So Chair, that does conclude roll.
Okay, thank you. The public hearing on the 2023 through 2028 Transit Development Plan is now open. Written comments, we received 18 written comments and have to date, and those comments will be packaged and provided to the board prior to the September board meeting. For verbal comments, we have in person to speak at the podium, Eric Wilkinson. Are you here? Okay. Yeah, up at the podium, please. And you have 3 minutes.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, members of the Community Transit Board of Directors. My name is Eric Wilkinson and my address is on file. I'm here today to speak in support of the draft 2023 to 2028 Transit Development Plan, specifically the continued focus on innovative transit solutions. As you are aware, when it comes to the needs of Snohomish County residents, traditional fixed routes and schedules don't meet all of our community's needs anymore. Community Transit has started the process of being forward-thinking and developing solutions like the Zip Alderwood pilot. This on-demand microtransit complements existing services and offers more convenience for local trips. Data from the pilot has shown high customer satisfaction and continued ridership growth. Because of this, I fully support Community Transit in making the Zip Alderwood microtransit service permanent while continuing to develop other innovative services to reach more people within the county. I want to discuss a couple of reasons why I believe innovative transit will be an integral part of the future growth in the region. First, these new types of services support broader regional goals around equity, sustainability, and economic growth. Innovative transit options can provide first and last mile connections to transit, access to employment and education, along with many other opportunities. They have been shown to expand freedom of movement for seniors, people with disabilities, and others who face barriers to transportation access. Innovative transit development on a larger scale will facilitate business partnerships, technology jobs, and infrastructure growth. As an early adopter, Community Transit will be a leader in helping regional growth on many fronts. Secondly, adoption rates for microtransit have been very high. The Crawford Area Transportation Authority in Pennsylvania had replaced a fixed route bus service with microtransit. They reported roughly a 25% increase in ridership over the fixed route service and with an average of a 7-minute wait time on the microtransit. Even during the pandemic, Spare, a microtransit technology company in Vancouver, Canada, reported new ridership adoption rates also around 25%. Thirdly, innovative transit development on a larger scale will facilitate business partnerships, technology jobs, and infrastructure growth. As an adopter of innovative transit, whether it continues to be in a form of microtransit or other services, community transit will be a leader in helping regional growth on many fronts. More direct community transit's own growth in preparation for the future, innovative transportation has the potential to increase opportunities for all concerned stakeholders and increase new ridership adoption. The draft transit development plan outlines a vision that continues investment in innovation. I ask that you support the plan and ensure we rapidly adopt services to meet community needs. We must meet this moment to shape what public transit looks like for the next generation. Our community expects community transit to lead with convenient, sustainable, and equitable transportation solutions. Approving the transit development plan will show your commitment to that vision. Thank you for your time and consideration. I appreciate the opportunity to provide input and look forward to seeing innovation flourish at community transit.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wilkinson. Do we have anyone remote on Zoom that wants to testify? You can unmute your microphone and raise your hand. Okay, I don't see any. Do you, Rachel? Okay. The public meeting or the public hearing is now closed. For public comment, we had one written comment that was received from Joy McJack and routed to the board in advance of the meeting. Is there anyone here that is wanting to speak, make a comment in person? I'm sorry. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, general comment. It's the public hearing was closed. Please say your name.
Tom Hamilton, 389 Canal Drive Northeast, Ocean Shores, Washington. Some of you may remember me, former board member. Apologize for arriving late. I didn't realize you guys had moved from the other facility. This is the first time, it's the first opportunity I've had since over 5 years since I moved to Ocean Shores. I've been in the hood on the first Thursday of the month. And I just wanted to express my thanks to the community transit and the board. The very first piece of mail that I received at my new home was from community transit. And it was a plaque honoring me or thanking me for my service on the board. And I just wanted to personally say thank you to the board for having sent that to me. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the great work that you guys are continuing to do without me. Anyway, good luck with everything that's moving forward. I know it's always challenging times. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Was that binging for a reason? Oh, okay. Okay. Are there any other verbal comments right now inside? How about on Zoom? Is there anyone on Zoom? Okay, I don't see anyone either. Okay, next item on the agenda is our presentations and the Employee Service Awards.
Great. If I could ask Claude Jurdy to join me at the podium. You got your speech ready?
Yeah.
Well, it's a great honor today to, is that working? Can you hear me okay? Recognize Claude Jurdy, our facilities manager, who is celebrating 20 years with community transit. It's a momentous accomplishment. His beard shows it. Claude started in 2003. He's had many different jobs at Sound Transit, at Community Transit. That light rail startup plan is very top of mind for me. Facilities Tech 2, Facilities Assistant Manager, Facilities Manager, Facilities Lead. He knows everything there is to know about the maintenance of our physical plant out there in the field. And has just done a tremendous job presenting our best to our customers and making sure that all of our station facilities and every place our customers interact with our service and our employees is in great condition. Claude is unsung, but one of the many key players who's part of our response to the safety and security concerns of the board and the staff over the past couple of years. It takes a lot of effort and coordination of resources to make sure that our stations are in the condition they need to be welcoming and safe for our employees and our customers, and he takes great care in that work. A couple of notable accomplishments. He knows all of our business processes, our budget processes. He's worked on many different projects. He was a huge asset and leading the move into this building. He displayed the patience of Job as all of our employees tried on the new building and got used to it and learned all its quirks and idiosyncrasies. And his team has supported that with great good humor. He's known as leading with a big heart, with personal warmth. He's been recognized multiple times in the past, including a team award for his work in dedicating a tree to the late Scott Ryan. And also playing a key role in organizing a memorial for Larry Daubenmeier last year. So some of the things that his employees and his teammates say about him: he's calm, always willing to work on win-win solutions for his customers. He's worked hard to create a culture of fairness and foster teamwork within the facilities group. He's consistently shows that he cares about his employees. He's very approachable. I can personally attest to that. He has a wealth of knowledge and is respected as an expert on all of our facilities. He's upbeat and positive, even in difficult situations. Fun facts, Claude will be the first to admit he has a fishing problem. We'll gladly tell you all about it. And if he does, be sure to ask him about the one that got away. I think we all have a story like that. He's a great dad, he's a grandfather, and he enjoys time with his family. He loves traveling with his wife, and I'm told that trips to Norway and Greece are upcoming. So that sounds very exciting. Anyway, it's my pleasure and my honor to thank you and congratulate you on your service and your accomplishments. We got a lapel pin and a flap. Thank you. What Deb says. Thank you. Any words in your own defense?
I'll say just a few things. Wow, 20 years. It's hard to believe it's been 20 years. I'll tell you just a little history about me. I shared it with Roland earlier today. I'd worked in the tech industry for the first 20 years after I got out of the service. First 10 years, I'd worked for a company. They made a decision, close the plant. So I put 10 years in building a career, and it kind of got pulled out from under it. Well, I moved to another tech company, same thing happened, 10 years. So when I came here at the 10-year mark, I kind of expected something to happen. Okay. So to make it 20 years, I just want to thank you guys. You guys do a great job supporting us, the board, for everything over the years. I've had made a lot of good relationships here, working relationships with coworkers. Great place to work, great support over the years. Obviously been lots of opportunity for me and growth in my own career. So I've just been impressed with working here at CT. Personally, been married almost 40 years, and he alluded to the Norway Greece trip, which we're planning for next year for our 40th anniversary. So and I couldn't have done this without my wife. Obviously, she's a tremendous support to me over the years, and she couldn't be here today because she decided to go play with the grandkids. So, I can't blame her. I'd be there too. So, other than that, I do love to fish. Camping and fishing is big on my relaxation list. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Claude. And speaking of Roland, let's have Roland come on up and join us. How about Roland? Well, you have a long or a short speech planned?
3 minutes.
Roland, believe it or not, is celebrating 25 years with community transit. And if 20 is hard to imagine 25. Wow. Roland started as a GIS analyst. And I can attest to you personally that you can take the planner out of GIS, but you cannot take the GIS out of the person. So if you have any questions about any route, any street, any block, any turn in Snohomish County, Roland can tell you about it. He's currently serving as acting chief operating officer. He's been in that position since April, leading our operations, implementing great change across multiple disciplines, including our security initiative, getting ready to implement our new network, our sustainability initiative, among a number of other things, moving into new facilities and accommodating construction in the middle of the vehicle maintenance operation as we speak. And he's doing a great job building and leading the team over in operations. He's served as director of planning and development for 4 years. He's held numerous planning positions since starting as a GIS analyst, probably too numerous to mention. It's hard to sum up his accomplishments at community transit because they are so many and so broad and so far reaching. He is an industry expert, and his input and his imprint are on just about every aspect of the work we do here at community transit, especially those initiatives we have in place to chart and plan our future. He's a visionary. He led the team that developed our 2024 network. Built an amazing group that helped our communities in Snohomish County through that process and put us in a position to manage and lead change effectively as the light rail investments come into play. Some of the words Roland's colleagues offered to summarize him: calm, pragmatic, genuine, absolutely, authentic, diplomatic. Sometimes you got to push him to tell you what he really thinks. Caring, highly knowledgeable, analytical, universally respected, trusted partner, strategic, creative, and unflappable. I would add to that humorous. He brings good humor to his work, and he's actually a hilarious guy. So I appreciate that. And he's been a tremendous partner to me as somebody who works with him every day, every week, sometimes several times a day. Fun facts about Roland: in addition to being a dad, he's a twin. So there's another one of him wandering around Northwest Washington. So I can't guarantee you we haven't actually worked with his twin before while he's biking. He's an avid cyclist. He's an avid user of our system. He bikes almost daily and greets our employees when he rides the bus into work with his bike. Born and raised in Everett, and a classic example of a local guy done good. So congratulations. Thank you for your service. Thank you. An honor to work with you. Hardware. All right. Got it all there. All righty. And the floor is yours.
Thank you. Oh, wow. A quarter century. I think I'm collectible now. I don't know. That's
Either that or your vintage.
yeah, vintage. I guess, I'll say what a couple times I've subbed for Rick in the new employee orientation classes. And so you always want to tell a little bit about your story and your arc here at the agency as new people are coming in. A lot of you have heard this, but the story that I always tell, I was born and raised here, and the privilege that I get to come in every day and work in a place where I get to work with just super awesome people. I have the best team. I work with the best colleagues on the leadership team. I get to walk up to the front of that bus every morning on the blue line and talk to an operator, and sometimes it's a familiar face and sometimes it's a new face. They're all just super great people, and to be all just committed public servants in this community. And for me, that just extra fulfilling piece that, you know, this is where I grew up, this is where all my family lives, to be able to provide really meaningful contributions to that and go home every night saying, we did good work today. And we, you know, we helped the community, we helped people get where they need to go. That's just, you know, there hasn't been a phase of my life here at Community Transit that I haven't just drawn such appreciation from, such value from. And the agency has been so good to me and to us as employees. Raised a family here. It's, you know, there's just so much that I love about being here. So thank you. Appreciate this. Looking forward to continuing, and, you know, just love being here at Community Transit. And thank you to the board. Thanks, Rick. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, our next item is the Safety Award, and again, CEO Elgin Prince.
Mayor Marine asked me if Roland started at transit in his job at GIS when he was 10. That would not be legal. As we segue, I want to welcome Tracy Christensen from WISTIP. She's one of our great partners in this industry of providing public transit service here in Snohomish County, and she works statewide to support us and our peer agencies around the state in operating safely and operating in a way that protects our interests and those of our customers. It's great to see you again, Tracy. Thank you for traveling up from Olympia. We're all looking forward to your presentation and appreciate the work you do, helping all of us
Thank you.
keep and stay safe.
Yes. And that's why I'm so excited to be here today to give you this award and also a reward, and to honor your hard work and dedication to safety, to kind of dovetail on what Roland was talking about moving your community around. He didn't say that word, but you move your community around safely, which means you're not incurring a lot of loss. The Washington State Transit Insurance Pool has been in business for 34 years. You are a founding member of that pool, and you help us cover all of the transit agencies in Washington State. We have 25 of them in total. And we implemented this award in 2014 to honor those who are working at that highest level in safety from an auto liability perspective. Now, you have seen me here before. Does anybody remember me? I was here last year, and I actually was here the year before and the year before. And that's because you have won this award 6 years consecutively and 7 years overall. So out of the 24 of those 9 years, you have won them 7 of the 9 years. So congratulations to you all. So what this award does is we look at 2 things. We look at your risk profile in how your losses to your mileage work. And we also look at a 10-year historical overview of your losses from an auto liability perspective. And you have to do well on both of those in order to get this award. So we do break our members up into small, medium, and large. I guess you can guess that you guys are a large member. So you're in good company with Ben Franklin, C-Tran, Intercity, Kitsap, Pierce, and Spokane. So when you're thinking about competition, if you'd like to think about that, who you're competing with, that's exactly who you're competing with, those other large entities. And I would like to point out that Pierce Transit, for example, is quite a bit bigger than you. And so they should be able to pull off this award and yet have never won it. So congratulations to you there. This also means that you got a reward. So we give you $5,000 to add to your employee performance and recognition. And we also give you this beautiful trophy. And we would also like to point out that we do have winners in the other categories. And just for your information, our medium winner this year was Clallam Transit, and our small winner was Columbia County Public Transportation, who impressively has won several years in a row with no losses at all. So on behalf of the WISTIP membership, thank you so much for your attention to safety and your dedication to the hard work of your community.
Thank you. Thank you, Tracy. And I just want to recognize the team that works so hard to provide safe operations. There's a huge training component to this. So Cesar, your leadership and his team, Treva and Gabe and transportation leadership and Jim and your team, Mike, making sure those vehicles are safe, Claude, making sure the facilities are clean and ready to go. It's really a group effort. So this award reflects that, and I couldn't be more proud. Thank you, Tracy. That concludes that presentation.
Yeah, okay, thank you. The next presentation is the Zip Alderwood Shuttle Service, Jennifer Haas.
Oh, perfect. Oh, there we go. Good afternoon. Again, I'm Jennifer Haas, the Senior Manager of Innovation, and I'm very excited to be back in front of all of you again, talking about the Zip Alderwood Shuttle. We're going to be walking through an evaluation of where we are almost 9 months in now into the pilot, and then taking a path forward towards a recommendation of continuing that service in Linwood past October 19th. And this picture, many of you are in it, was from our launch event way back last year on October 19th. Then we launched service the next day. I'm going to spend a little time just talking about the background of the pilot, walking through what our results are, as I mentioned to date, where we are with budget, recommendations for moving it into a standard service after the pilot period, and then next steps. So we started probably about 3 years ago in Linwood, really listening to the community and learning from the community about their travel barriers and what their needs were for transportation. And we wanted to design around those principles. So what we heard is they wanted something that was safe and convenient, was very easy to use, was available at all times of day for travel. It was robust enough that they could use it as their primary mode of transportation if they didn't own a car or chose not to have a car. That it was dependable and really equitable across the whole area we were providing the service, where anyone could access it, and it would get them to key destinations in the city of Linwood. So in hearing all those things, we really thought about how do we design something to try and test within Linwood that really is targeted at different audiences. So we looked at low income seniors, current bus riders, and also people with disabilities. And we looked at what we learned around barriers. How do we design goals for the service we wanted to pilot? And then what design feature would we make sure we had in that service to meet those needs? So for instance, with low income, we knew cost was an issue. So we made sure that whatever service we piloted would accept ORCA, and then they could also use that and give accessibility to transfers within the system outside of the microtransit service. For seniors, we knew challenges were just getting to current transportation. So we wanted to provide a one-seat ride with the service we were offering, which is why we chose for the microtransit zone what we call point to point. So anyone within that 3 by 3 mile radius can access the service and then be taken to anywhere else in that service zone. For our bus riders, we wanted to really focus around frequency of service and reliability. So we made sure within the zone that we were connected to Linwood Transit Center. Also 2 pairs of Swift stops on our blue line, and then also Swamp Creek to the north of the zone. We have learned, and you'll see later in the presentation, that we have a lot of riders that are using microtransit within the zone, but then also using it to connect to the bus to go farther outside the zone, which was another goal of the service. And then for people with disabilities, we wanted to make sure that we were hearing they were having kind of unsafe and unpleasant experiences with their transportation. So we wanted to focus the service to be easy and accessible for them. So we do have vehicles that provide ADA accessibility, really easy wheelchair loading, And also really good accessibility for people who just have mobility devices like walkers. So thinking about all of that and who we were designing for, we set 4 primary goals for Zip. Again, make sure the service was easy and accessible for everyone. It was cost effective. It met customer needs. That was very important to us, and that it was environmentally friendly. Just an overview of the zone itself. Again, we launched last October on the 20th. The service does provide, starts at 5 a.m., goes to 10 p.m. That's Monday through Sunday, so every day. We launched it using federal funds, some local dollars, but primarily the funding is from a congestion mitigation air quality grant. Again, I mentioned it's point to point, so anywhere within that blue zone, people can request a ride to be picked up and also dropped off. Includes the 2 pairs of Swift bus stops along the southwest corner of the zone, and then also Linwood Transit Center to the south and Swamp Creek to the north. And then accepts any form of payment that we currently accept on our buses. And then also includes debit credit if someone books through the call center or phone app. So we wanted to be really sure from an equity lens that we're providing a service to test that was the same essential kind of fair model that we had across our services, so people weren't paying more potentially for a service like this. A little bit about operations. We currently have 5 vehicles that run within the microtransit zone. We started with 3, but based on demand, we have increased that to 5, so that's great. Covers again anything from Monday through Sunday work schedule. Currently have 8-hour shifts, so we have 7 on weekdays, 6 on Saturdays, and 5 on Sundays. Customers can book their calls if they don't want to use the smartphone app through a community transit number, which is routed to MedStar's dispatch center, which is located in Yakima, Washington, so people can book trips through the phone really easily. We actually have about half of our customers that do that. Half come through phone, half come through the smartphone app. And then customers are also encouraged to provide feedback throughout the entire pilot, and those calls come into our own customer call center here at Community Transit. Let's talk a little bit about results to date. So going back, focusing on goal 1, providing a service that's easy to access for all. This map represents lots of pretty blue shaded squares. What it's saying is essentially there has been only 1 area in this entire zone that has not had trips requested to be picked up or dropped off in. That zone happens to be a school. So we're thinking maybe there's not school age children that are requesting Zip, but every other square is being used. And this is great because we didn't think necessarily when we started the pilot, we didn't know what usage and demand would be. And so if you look at the kind of darker shaded squares at the bottom, the first one with the number 1 represents Linwood Transit Center. So about 25% of our trips are either beginning or ending there, which is great. A lot of people using it again to connect to the bus. One of the reasons we picked this particular area way back when was to prime this market for light rail and create access for people to be able to kind of complete that first last mile connection. So we're seeing that through the pilot. And then the remaining kind of densities of trip usage is along some commercial and then retail and then also multifamily apartments. This particular zone also is the highest area in the entire city of Linwood for multifamily units. Again, one of the reasons we targeted it way back when. So we're definitely meeting the goal of providing access for people within the area. And this just shows a little bit of information about ridership itself. So on the left-hand side, it shows the steady trend way back at the end of October all the way up through July. We're increasing ridership day over day. We're adding about 20 to 30 new customers every week to the pilot, which is great. So we're not only, giving a service to our existing bus riders, but we're also bringing new customers in and attracting new customers into the model, which is great. We've had almost 23,000 boardings to date. That's about a little over 1,000 unique customers. So each of those people are taking an average of 18 trips over this 9-month period. We have some customers that have taken over 150 trips. So it shows us that customer satisfaction is high. When you come back and use the product again, that's a positive thing. Average boardings per trip, so kind of how many customers are in each vehicle, is 1.2. We're hoping to increase that. 3 weeks ago, we started the opportunity for shared rides or people to be matched within the zone So we're hoping that number will increase as that continues into the pilot. And then we're keeping wait times under 15 minutes. That was the goal. So average wait time from the time the customer calls to request a ride is still under 15 minutes. And then we're also serving ADA customers. About 6% of our trips total are requested from that audience. So our second goal of providing a cost-effective service that attracts riders. This is a summary of cost per boardings across our products and also comparison of a peer agency. So cost per boarding for the shuttle at this point is averaging out at $29 per boarding. To give a little context, our peer agency partner to the South King County Metro, who's been doing on-demand pilots for a little over 7 years. They have several zones in their service area. They range anywhere from $14 to $32 cost per boarding. For our own services here at Community Transit, if we look at just our CT fixed routes, the buses has a broader range that averages out to about $22 per boarding. I also included Swift, Vanpool is at 14, and then also paratransit. So just to create a little context around what we're seeing currently right now for cost per boarding for Zip. And as I mentioned, with shared trips starting that functionality and letting us pool people together, well, it should also bring this cost down even further. Spend a little bit of time talking about Net Promoter Score. This is for anyone who's filled out a survey that asks, how likely would you be to recommend this product service to a friend or colleague? We did the same thing back in April. We surveyed all of our existing customers that were using the service. Feedback is really important for us to get through the pilot so we can keep making improvements. And essentially, we asked this question, and what it tells you is how many people would essentially promote your service versus how many would not promote the service. So looking at our third goal of meet customer needs, we had an average score that came in at 64. Now to put that in a little bit of reference, you can have a Net Promoter Score anywhere from minus 100, like all the way to 100. So even if you land at 0, that can still be considered a good score. 0 to 20 is good, over 50 is great. We landed at 64, and then our senior audience gave us an average score of 80. So it shows that customers are using the service, but they're really liking the service and it's meeting the needs that it was designed based on the feedback we heard from them. This is just a reference of some other companies and where they score in their Net Promoter Score. We all want to be like Tesla and Costco, who are in the 80s and all the way up to 100, but we did really well. We're, landing in the upper middle of that chart. Again, showing that it's a strong use of public service and a transportation product that the Linwood residents are really liking and using. So wrapping up our third goal around meeting customer needs, this just shows kind of where customers are landing in satisfaction level across different functionality within the pilot itself. So when they're using the call center, when they're using the app to book rides, what they felt about wait times, then also safety. Safety was really important to us. So the green represents, in the high 70s to mid 90s and very satisfied, which is great. We did get some lower scores, mostly in the single digits. We did reach 21% around the app, but we did know from the beginning that we would have some troubleshooting to do with the app and some development in the software, which we have been continually doing, improving throughout the pilot. And the customers have been great in telling us changes that they were seeing and wanting, and we've been working on making those happen. But overall, we're doing really well in the satisfaction level for customers. And again, this is just a recap of around customer loyalty. Again, having almost 1,100 customers that have used trips or have booked trips, and 72% of them being return customers, averaging 18 trips themselves. So a lot of repeat customers means good product and happy, loyal people using the pilot. So wrapping up with our last goal of providing a service that's environmentally friendly. I mentioned we have a lot of bus riders that are using Zip to make connections. 81% of them are using and tapping Orca to transfer from the microtransit pilot onto a local bus, which is great. Again, highest activity is at Linwood Transit Center across the pilot at 25% of all of our trips. Customer boardings at 1.2, which we're hoping again to come up with shared rides. Then we do have one hybrid electric vehicle that's in service. We're hoping if we extend microtransit in Linwood or even to other zones, we'll continue to go green and hopefully all electric with this type of service delivery. Everyone wants to always talk about budget, so we'll spend just a second there. We had an original project budget of 1.3 million. 1 million again was from the congestion mitigation air quality grant. That's a federal grant. We budgeted 300,000 also in local funds, community transit agency funds. Through May, we've spent a little over 700,000, leaves us about 465,000 for the remainder of the pilot based on our projections. So we'll be coming in hopefully under 1.2 million, which is under budget, which is great. We're very happy about that. So recommendation, based on all of those learnings, everything I've shared with you today, you see that Zip has a really strong ridership and is continually adding new customers week over week. It's helping customers connect to the bus and really letting them take trips that they haven't been able to take before. It's providing an easy and safe travel experience and helping people connect, especially across the zone. I think as an agency, we do really well north and south in Linwood, but we had heard from customers, even before we did this work in Linwood, that it was hard to get east and west across Linwood. And we're seeing a lot of those trips filling that need for people, helping them connect just within the zone or also go across and connect up with the bus farther. So next steps, we are currently working on a service evaluation for Zip. So if this was to continue past the pilot, the service evaluation helps us to identify how the service would be operated, whether that would be continued through a contracted model, or if we would bring that in-house and do that ourselves. We were hoping to have a target to have that done by the end of the month. We're getting very close. So hopefully in the next few weeks, we'll have that wrapped up and have direction as to how that would go forward. We're here today at the board meeting, which is kicking off the public engagement and Title VI process. We've completed the Title VI analysis. There's a memo that's in your board packets. It's very favorable. Again, it goes and looks at level of benefit within the service area around protected and non-protected populations. And the analysis is very favorable, showing kind of in the single digit numbers of effect on minority and low income. Again, one of the factors that weighed into where we picked that particular zone in Linwood was due to its the high propensity of low income residents already and minorities. So it wasn't too surprising that the Title VI analysis came back favorable, but we're encouraged to hear what the public also thinks about that process. So that will open up for 30 days after today, closing on September 7th with a public hearing. And then we will be coming back on October 5th with hopefully an action for service adoption of the microtransit service in Linwood. So that is the end of my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
That's right. All right. So, hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
So I know I asked this at the committee meeting as well with regard to if we could get numbers on who's writing it. We know people are writing it, but specifically under 19, writing it for free. I know we had talked about that before we implemented it to see, how many of those are taking advantage of the free ride on it? How many are seniors? How many disabled? Is it meeting who we're looking for? Also, I know we had looked at it in terms of maybe needing less parking structures. It's good to see that the majority of the riders are going to the transit center. So that should mean maybe they're not driving there and parking, right? They're taking the micro transit. So more information maybe on that. Have we seen the number of parking spaces needed, or maybe they're not being as utilized as much as they were? Are we seeing that? So just some more information as we go would, I think, be good as well. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's great. We in fact are working on a kind of a fair audit with MedStar, our transportation vendor, contractor for this service, around just that, really segmenting out the audiences and who's riding and when. We have some rough numbers, but I'd rather wait until they're a little more final, but it is definitely an even spread across. We're touching all the audiences we designed the service around, all the way from youth, 18 and under, to seniors. But yeah, I'll be able to bring back more definitive information, and I'll look also into the parking question. That's a good, I hadn't actually thought about that, to look at what the change maybe in parking demand has been at Linwood between launch of pilot and now. So
it's probably more of a city that doesn't have maybe a park and ride lot. So I'm more hypersensitive to that.
Okay, did you? Okay. go
Yes,
ahead.
I had a question. Are we seeing anything beginning to surface out of any of the ride companies like Lyft or Uber? Any of the other initiatives around the country or here where they might be looking at the model that we're setting up and countering that in some fashion?
So some of the private transportation network companies or TNCs partner with public agencies to do this work. For instance, King County Metro partners with the company that kind of sublets to local TNC to provide support service when they have kind of too much demand in their microtransit model. That TNC will provide extra trips for customers. So I think they have done well at learning how to navigate, how to partner with us in that realm. Not so much of a competitive landscape, but how can they kind of maybe help share that pie, so to speak. Mhm.
Yeah, I have a, hello, Jennifer.
Hi,
A
Lance.
little confused here with the total boardings per trip at less than 2 people, 1.2. Is that, I understand that, so it's only one person a trip?
So sometimes, so it took us many months, like I said, only about 3 weeks ago, we launched the ability for the service to be able to match people and create a true like public rideshare model where if they're within a certain distance of each other, we'll match them together and pick them up. So then we can have 2 to 4 people potentially in a trip. Up until this point, we haven't had that functionality. So the only time we see more than one person, if it's a family traveling together, or could be a mom and a child or a, spouse. And that's why we see a little bit over 1 per trip.
Seems to me that would be significant loss in this situation. I mean, how can we function with?
We were really hoping to have that shared trip functionality earlier in the test. It just took us a long time working with the tech side with the vendor to get that put in place. We had wanted to launch that in the first quarter of the service. It's just taken us much longer, but now we're hoping. We've already seen a slight increase in that average in only having shared trips the last few weeks. So definitely any microtransit zone we would launch going forward or even continuing in Linwood, that would be from the get-go because it is a public transportation service. It's not meant to be a solo one-off ride. It's meant to be you're using public transportation and expect to have other people that, you may not know in that vehicle with you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thanks, Lance.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Just a second. Councilmember Payne has her hand up.
Thank you, Chair. I really appreciate the presentation. So one of my questions is, what were the original expectations for use and ridership?
That's a great question. We did not set hard numbers and metrics around this, and that was intentional. We really wanted to use it as a platform to set benchmarks for future service and zones around this microtransit model. So when I said we, are at 23,000 boardings, I think in my head as project manager, I thought, well, gosh, if we were at, 10,000 6 months, and that would be great. And that was just based on research we had done of other microtransit zones kind of across the area that were kind of similar scale and size operational model to this one. So I think we had some rough targets, but we didn't set anything firm because we just kind of really wanted to learn from the pilot and understand. And now that we're in it a little bit farther and have some good, robust data, we've started aligning those with some benchmarks.
Okay, that's great. I am really excited to see this project be so successful. I can see Edmonds being a good opportunity. It would be a great opportunity for us, particularly with the Montlake Terrace light rail station coming up pretty fast, and it's just exciting work. So thank you for the presentation.
Thank you. And I've had some great conversations with your community development director,
Oh, yeah.
Todd in Edmonds.
Yeah, Todd and I are texting.
I know he's very interested. So thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Yeah, it prompted another, thank you, Lance, prompted a question. So if two adults get onto this riding clearly together, right? Maybe husband and wife, and they're taking a ride. Do they each pay a fare? Obviously, if you pick me up and then we stop and pick somebody else up, we each pay a fare, but each adult even
Yes.
riding together.
Yes.
That's what I thought. I thought I'd just
I
confirm that.
thought that was almost gonna be a math problem and
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
train A leaves. No, I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
Cause like Uber, right? If we're all together, we pay one and
Yeah.
each person doesn't pay separately, but okay, thank you.
Mayor Wright?
Yes, I just wanted to say that living really close to the service area, I run into the zip cars all the time, and there's always somebody in them. And so I'm really, really glad that we have this report today because I was hoping it would be a success, and it looks like it's going to be a success because yes, all the other cities around Mount Lake Terrace, Edmonds, whatever, we're all waiting for it. So we want it to be a success. So no question, just a comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mayor Fritzell?
I just wanted to add, I can't tell you how many of our community members tell me how wonderful it is and that it gets them where they want to go. But the biggest thing that I hear is how wonderful the drivers are. So it's just a credit to our organization that the drivers want to be involved in the community and it's almost as if they go out of their way compared with some other customer service that we have found. And it's just been a joy to have community transit use us as a pilot program. And I highly recommend it. It's just been wonderful. And they're even dropping people off at City Hall. I don't know why, but they do. They come through our parking lot regularly. So thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, somebody else had one? Oh, I don't see him.
Kim.
Oh, Kim Daughtry, is that who you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Kim, go right ahead.
I was just wondering how Mayor Wright's insurance rates are going if she keeps running into the zip vehicles.
The hand is the picture, I can't see it. Okay, thank you. Okay, the next thing we have on the agenda is the Chief Executive's official report.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the board, it's great to be able to report at our monthly meeting. I've got a hopefully relatively brief report today. I wanted to start by thanking the board again for the really important discussion we had at the workshop last week about our approach on ZE vehicles. Based on your input in that discussion, staff will start the process of weaving our path forward into our draft transit development plan, our draft long-range plan, and our proposed 2024 budget to capture the next steps moving into the extended pilot phase. That's very exciting. You will also see work continuing to advance our side-by-side pilot with an action item on the agenda today to acquire our first electric charging unit to support our 40-foot battery electric bus that's coming this fall. So appreciate that discussion, and we will be updating and briefing you regularly over the course of the fall as we bring those decisions forward for your consideration. Switching subjects, wanted to give the board a heads up and anybody following along at home that next week is the week that our ride store will move to its temporary location at the Ashway Park and Ride. That will create the conditions for us to go ahead and demolish and rebuild the existing ride store. So we are communicating proactively with customers about the move temporarily to Ashway. The IT and facilities and capital teams are busy at work, making sure that that new facility is ready. and ready to open next week. The interesting tidbits about the existing ride store. It's been there for 20 years. It opened in 2003. Claude may or may not have been around when it opened. I was briefed this week that over the course of that period, the ride stores generated more than $25.7 million in revenue in sales to customers of tickets and Orca cards. So far this year, the ride store has received over 2,700 lost and found items, ranging from cell phones to bikes to wallets and more. Probably a fair number of coffee mugs in there as well. So that's one of the critical functions that team provides, and it's really amazing how much great work they do to reconnect customers with their lost items. We get regular and weekly accolades from customers about that staff, and so there will be a little bit of an adjustment as they move to Ash Way, but they're raring to go, and they're very excited about the new facility to open next year. A quick touch on our capital programs. We are on track with our facilities master plan projects. The Merrill Creek admin building, which is being remodeled to become our new transportation headquarters, is 86% complete and is going to be ready for opening in December of this year. So we're very excited about that. Plans are afoot to implement that move, and we'll be talking to you about how we'll recognize that change later in the year. The phase 3A maintenance facility project is 78% complete and will be finished up next year. Across the street, our vehicle storage and training facility, which is FMP phase 5, is expected to be done imminently. And that smile you see on Mike Suela's face is because he's getting ready to move some buses over there. So we're excited about that as well. The Orange Line is now 75% complete with almost full completion of the new transit center at Edmonds College, and also major renovation of the bus loop at McCollum Park and Ride. We have a new Swift station at 196 and Highway 99 that is poised to open, and that'll be the transfer station between the Orange Line and the Blue Line. So we're excited about that. We're just doing final preparations to get power into the facility. And staff is advancing planning for station locations for the Green Line extension in Bothell, and also reviewing the latest traffic analysis and routing options for the Swift Gold Line. So lots of activity on the capital side. Switching subjects to regional engagement, I mentioned Sound Transit earlier. We continue to engage with our friends at Sound Transit to address issues and challenges around the plans for activating the Linwood Link project next fall. Sound Transit's capital program schedules have posed some challenges for getting our network restructure plan aligned with their activation plan. So those are keeping us very busy trying to get coordinated on that. The issues are significant enough that after a briefing with Mayor Frizzell, Executive Summers, and Mayor Franklin, they decided to send a letter to Sound Transit this week posing some inquiries about possible strategies to make sure we are putting in place a positive customer experience there when we change the network next year. So I'll keep you informed as that work continues. Next Monday, Jen and Chris Simmons and I will be presenting the 2024 and beyond network plan and the ZIP evaluation presentation to the Linwood City Council, similar to the presentation received today. We'll have an opportunity to visit with Mayor Frizzell and her council colleagues to give them a preview of the changes coming to the Linwood Transit Center next year with Orange Line opening and with the network 2024 network plan in September, as well as the recommendation to move the ZIP service forward. Everett Transit Community Transit Joint Policy Committee met last on June 29th, and we are currently working to schedule the next meeting. Given the summer schedule, that's likely to be in September. So stay tuned for more news on that front. Quick note, SCIT has met recently, and SCIT meets every month. We hosted a meeting here 2 months ago. Chair Schweddy and I serve on the board of SCIT, and there are usually topics of interest that I report on there. This month, they got a briefing on high-speed rail. and also on the State Route 529 project. And if you'll recall from Chris's presentation a month ago, we'll be adding trips to the 201, 202 routes to mitigate potential construction-related traffic in that corridor. On the employee front, we had a summer barbecue last week as an employee appreciation event put on and sponsored by the Unity team. It was held outside our operations base over at Merrill Creek. We had great turnout. It was a beautiful day like this. We had over 500 lunches served. And I want to thank Kathy Jackson, who's a supervisor in the operations team, and the whole Unity team for putting that on. Jim, Roland, everybody else who pitched in. It was a great event. Hiring continues to pipe along. Coach operator staffing is currently at 356. We've got 50 in the pipeline. Our goal is to be at 381 coach operators by March for the service change and the orange line activation. We are looking good to hit that target. Regarding mechanics, we've hired 12 journey mechanics so far this year. Again, Mike is smiling. We have 2 more tentative starts in September, and we continue to recruit aggressively. That leaves about 5 positions to fill this year and another 5 next year to get to where we need to be. Quick touch on finance and budget. 2024 budget development is well underway. So everybody is busy putting together their proposed resource plans for next year, and you'll start to see that come through our committee structure this fall. So with that, Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Okay, do you have any questions? Any questions up there? Okay, that was very thorough. Thank you. So committee reports, I'm the first one with the executive committee. The executive committee met on Thursday, July 27th. Mayor Maureen, Mayor Roberts, and I attended. The CEO report was provided and included an update on contracted services, including the ZIP Alderwood shuttle service. The next executive committee meeting is scheduled for August 17th at 11:30. And then we go to Mayor Roberts.
Thank you, Chair. The Finance, Performance and Oversight Committee met on Thursday, July 20th, 2023 in a Zoom format. Board members, Mayor Christine Frizzell, Mayor John Neri, and I attended. Consent items for today: approval of the June 2023 monthly expenditures and payroll vouchers will be items 8C through H on the consent agenda. In terms of reports, number 1, the annual comprehensive financial report for 2022 audited. Lori Fox, Controller, presented to the committee the audited annual comprehensive financial report for 2022. A copy of this report is included in your packet. Number 2, the Q1 2023 financial report unaudited. Lori Fox, Controller, presented to the committee the unaudited financial report for Q1 2023. Copy of this report is also included in your packet. Sales tax report, excuse me, for June 2023 unaudited. In June 23, Community Transit collected approximately $15.4 million in sales tax revenue, approximately $431,000 less than was budgeted. Copy of this report is also in your packet. Diesel fuel report update for June 2023. The average cost year to date through June 23 was $3.56 a gallon, while the average cost per gallon budgeted for 2023 was $4.25. This resulted in a favorable variance of 69 cents per gallon year to date through June. Another business, Lori Fox, Controller, informed the committee that Rachel Woods provided the board of directors with the interim financial exit packet of the state auditor's audit for community transit for the fiscal year of 2022. A formal exit conference will be held at the conclusion of the federal compliance and accountability audit. The next Finance, Performance and Oversight Committee meeting is scheduled for 2 p.m. Thursday, August 17th, 2023 via Zoom. That's my report.
Hey, thank you. Okay, Councilmember Merrill, you're next.
Thank you, Chair. The Strategic Alignment and Capital Development Committee meeting was held remotely over Zoom on July 19th at 2 p.m. Meeting was attended by myself, Mayor Marine, Councilmember Peterson, Councilmember Daughtry, and Labor Representative Norton. The committee forwarded the ZIP Alderwood shuttle service presentation that we just saw from Jennifer. The committee reviewed and forwarded one consent item to today's agenda, the RFP 2023-70 purchase. Oops, let me go up one. The committee reviewed and forwarded one consent item to today's agenda, and that's the job order contract number 2021-27 F8 Lake Stevens Park and Ride refresh. And then the committee reviewed and forwarded one action item to today's agenda, the RFP 2023-70 purchase of battery electric bus pilot charging station. The next meeting of the Strategic Alignment and Capital Development Committee is scheduled for Wednesday, August 16th at 2 p.m. Thank you. I'm
Okay.
set.
Thank you. Before we do the consent items, does anyone have any questions on them? Okay, could I get a motion then?
I'll move approval of consent.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Now we're down to our action item. Roland Behe, you are up.
Go. Hey, here to speak to award of, as Councilmember Merrill noted, 2023-70 purchase of battery electric bus pilot charging stations. Just by way of context, we had the workshop just a few days ago, and the board will recall that we're in this larger arc of study of zero emission fleet conversion. We've been underway with the feasibility study for that work since 2021. We talked in the workshop about a coming extended pilot phase to extend out through 2029. And so you may recall that at the end of last year, in the final budget amendment of the year, that the board approved a preliminary pilot phase, which we are actually already underway with and in the midst of. And that was composed of both a beta pilot, which is the BYD 60-foot battery electric bus phase, which we're currently leasing. And many of you have been on that bus as it has been parked outside here in previous board meetings. The second phase of that preliminary pilot is a side-by-side with a battery electric bus and a fuel cell electric bus. And those are anticipated to arrive late this year, and we'll put them into public-facing service as we get into next year. And so the subject of the action is the battery electric charging infrastructure to support the battery electric side of that side-by-side comparison with those two vehicles. In the item before us, we determined that we would require heavy-duty charging equipment with specific high-power capabilities. We need a 300 amp circuit to service this equipment, and the zero emissions team found that the ChargePoint Express Plus 200 kilowatt charger and dispenser was the most effective and advantageous equipment to serve this need. It also has the added advantage that we already have ChargePoint infrastructure or ChargePoint chargers, both on site here at this facility and also at our other facility on Hardison Road. And so we have some experience with the vendor, and by going with them for this next need, we will also have continuity in terms of support from a single source. We also, in consultation with our transit industry partners, were advised that being new technology and being that we want to ensure for reliability of this during this pilot phase, that redundancy is important. So what you see before you is for purchase of actually 2 of these units so that we've got a backup should the primary fail. And so we're incorporating that into the design as we move forward. And that's why you see 2 of them in the proposal. Also, just want to note that as we do anticipate further battery electric bus purchases in the future, as we move into a larger scale pilot, the equipment that we purchased to support this initial pilot phase will also have ongoing utility and enduring value, as it can be used to charge other both non-revenue electric vehicles that we may have of a variety of sizes, but also the larger buses should we continue to expand that fleet. So a little bit of background. In terms of the procurement itself, the ChargePoint Express Plus 200 kilowatt charger and dispenser price was obtained from Gillig LLC, utilizing the Washington State Department of Enterprise Services contract, which supplies the unit in these equipment options. Gillig's current pricing for the ChargePoint Express charger and dispenser is shown in the memo in the board's packet. The units are $165,200 each, and the total cost would be $330,400. The total cost of the purchase includes the charger dispenser, warranty, software, preliminary design, support, project management, delivery, and commissioning services. And the team is currently working on the separate expense for the installation and configuration of these over at our Merrill Creek base. The costs have been deemed fair and reasonable relative to other comparable brands offered on the state contract and based on comparable recent purchases within the region. And as I indicated previously, the board approved at the end of last year the budget amendment, and also included in this year's budget in terms of the financial capacity to support this purchase. It's included in Fund 48, or Facilities and Technologies Fund, for the zero emissions purchased proposed in the memo. And the recommendation is that the Board of Directors authorize the Chief Executive Officer to negotiate and award contract 2023-70, purchase of 2 battery electric bus pilot charging stations under DES number 06719 to Gillig LLC for a not to exceed amount of $330,400.
Okay, anyone have a question? Okay, go,
No,
Joe.
I just gonna make a motion, but I don't have a question.
Okay, if we don't have any questions and we don't have Zoom up anymore, so a motion?
Yeah, I will move that the Board of Directors move that thing there. Or I will move exactly what Roland had announced.
Yeah, what Roland just said.
Yeah, I'll move that the Board of Directors authorize the CEO to negotiate an award contract number 2023-070, purchase of 2 battery electric bus pilot charging stations, DES 06719 to Gillig LLC for a not to exceed amount of $330,400.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you, Roland. Okay, we're down to the chair's report. I have one thing. I want to personally call out Lori Fox, sorry, and Mary Albert for the annual financial report. I have to tell you, because I was on finance for all those years, this report was absolutely eye-opening. The whole first part of it was verbal things that explained every single thing that we do here at Community Transit. And I really would encourage the board to read that first part, and even the staff, because I will tell you, you will learn things. I learned things, and it was incredible. And those ladies did incredible job. That was a great report, and I really appreciate that. So it's now on to the rest of the board. So we've got them on the line, and I'm just going to go down my list. Kim, do you have anything?
We had a great weekend for Rockfest this year. It's over finally. I'm still recovering, but that's the way it is. And I don't have anything else for the board.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Frissell?
Yes, Tom and I both were down in Birmingham, Alabama, where the sun shone hot and the humidity made it even hotter. But we met with the folks at AFTA, and there was a large variety of agencies that were there as well. And it was very collaborative. It was great sessions. And the thing that Tom and I both looked at each other partway through and said, man, we have got it good back home. There's a lot of people that they don't have the direction of a board and a CEO that's steering them in one direction. They don't have advocacy opportunities, or they don't take them, or they don't know about them. They're lacking in their grant awards. They're not receiving them. And a lot of that, as we all know, is you have to have a good grant writer. You have to have a good grant writing team in order to make things happen. A lot of them talked about low staffing. But each person that we talked to and that we interacted with, and I think there's a couple hundred there, they were thoughtful, they were informed, they were looking for answers. So know that we are in good company with people that want to make transit happen for the vulnerable people, especially in our community. And we had a session just on e-buses. And, so people are looking at the environment. I will say that the best session in my mind, and maybe because we have such a great deal up here, and I would even include Sound Transit in those comments of having advocacy and direction, et cetera. But the best session was Tuesday morning when we talked about HR issues. And more than 90% of the agencies have the same HR staffing issues as we do. And we talked about how do you retain, how do you recruit? And recruitment of today is not the recruitment of even 10 years ago, especially not the recruitment of 20 years ago. We've got a different workforce out there. And we discussed a lot of different ways to approach a different workforce. And I came back home and unloaded a lot of information to my HR director from that. And how do we connect with young people? How do we connect with technology? We don't need the same mechanics that we've always had because we're going towards e-vehicles. And so we need computer operators and IT people. And we need to maybe repackage our job descriptions so that we're attracting younger people who maybe haven't thought of transit as a career path. So obviously it got me pretty excited. I keep talking about it. I presented it to all of my directors this week as well, to just say, we can't just go around saying, well, they don't have the same work ethic, and so we're not going to hire them, or they don't think about things the same way I do. So forget it. As you look around the room here, I'll just say I'm a senior, and I think work needs to be done a certain way. And yet when I talk to my 30-year-old kids, they see life differently. And I think it's a good alarm bell for me to say, there's some things that we need to change. And I think it'll be for the better. That's our next generation. They're going to be sitting in these seats in 30 years, not us. And so thank you to Community Transit for paying for it on your dime, but it was just really well done. Really enjoyed talking to the wide variety of AFTA folks that were down there.
Okay, thank you. That was interesting. And I totally agree. I'm a vocational person in the back, and I'm still pushing for that college up at Arlington so that we can train our mechanics to do our electric buses. Joe Marine.
Thank you, Chair. I just, I want to congratulate again, Claude. First of all, I want to start with Claude. It's thank you for getting us past the 10-year mark with you. I'm sure those first two companies had nothing at all to do with, it had nothing to do with you, right? So thank you for that. And to Roland for the 25 years. It is really a testament to this organization that you can have quality employees that will stay that long. You probably have been headhunted and had opportunities. There are organizations looking for really good quality leadership and employees. And so the fact that we can have employees sticking around for 20, 25, 30 years just to help make this organization what it is. So thank you for being part of the team, and thank you to Community Transit for keeping them.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Merrill.
Yes, as Mayor Frizzell talked about earlier, we went to the APTA conference. A lot of what she said, I don't need to repeat and go over again, but we did see some excellent presentations, but the real work, I think, came in talking with the individuals that were attending there from the other agencies around the country. I think the topics of interest that came up, and I'm not going to go into them, but had a lot of talk about governance. And the eye opener for me on that one is I didn't know there were so many different ways to constitute a board and a transportation company. Funding transportation benefit districts and how these transportations get funded was also a new one for me. There's a lot of different ways to do it, and I'm very grateful that we do it our way. In the stories that I was talking with on other people, the funding didn't seem to be as solid and as dependable as what we have here with our transportation district based on sales tax. A lot of it is at the whim of a general fund from a city or a state. The level of one of the things that I really gathered and we might take for granted, but is the level of support that we get for public transportation that we have from our local folks, the county, the state, and the federal. It's an important, it's viewed here as important work, and that is not true for everyone that I talk to. Safety and staffing issues, Mayor Frizzell covered quite well, I think. And then on the projects and initiatives, we kind of checked every box on everything we were talking about. With one that I was a little surprised, and especially in light of the presentation given today by Jennifer, and there was no one I talked to that was working on flexible routing service initiatives like we're working here. I know they're out there, but nobody was, the people that were attending there were not talking to that. And it's really exciting to hear how well that is going for us. So we're serving on a model on that. So, but I guess what I do is I come back with a great sense of affirmation on what we're doing here at Community Transit. We have excellent staff. We have good leadership.
Great board.
Board is pretty good too, yeah. And then finally, one note of amusement that I had kind of is that California is running a great petri dish on how to move into the zero emission, because they have one of everything going down there in many different ways, and they don't agree on what the best way to do it is. I talked to one person that their fleet of coaches included diesel, hybrid, fuel cell electric, battery electric, legacy hydrogen, and natural gas. And they are working on studies with Stanford University. And so there are some reports out from them on cost, fuel cost, maintenance cost, availability. And so if anyone's interested in that, I can give you the website to go look at that. They have 2 years, I think 2020 through 2022 on that. So really, yes, I agree. It was a good thing for me to go to. I really appreciated it. And ran into interesting people and interesting topics. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Nearing.
Just add my congratulations to Claude and Roland. It's great to recognize those 10 years and all the great work you've done for community transit. And that's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Lance Norton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As the top union man on this board, I want to thank Joe and the rest that have complimented the staff here, as I have numerous times. We truly have an outstanding, very compatible staff here, and I, along with all the others, appreciate that very much. One last thing, never mind, I'm going to save that between Rick and I. So thank you very much.
Oh. Okay, that sort of left it open. Okay. Mayor Roberts.
We have a lot going on in Stanwood. I think we have about 8 projects, public works projects. We have a new arch, rebuilding our downtown, new sewer projects, sidewalk projects, 2 or 3, as well as about 6 or 7 private developments. We also have the fair this week and the parade and all the rest. But on Tuesday, we had National Night Out, as many of the other cities did. And I don't remember if we've had a bus from Community Transit before, but Community Transit brought a bus. It was, did you say, Rick, it was a 73 model? It looked like something that 53? It's a 53. Well, that makes me feel a little bit better. Than it looked like maybe something that was maybe along at the roadside stops or something. It was really pretty old, but we appreciated was that ever in service? Did you guys ever use that? You did?
Yeah, it wasn't used in service.
was purchased used. It wasn't. It's a 59.
To 59. Well, as I said, it looked pretty old. We were really grateful though. Kids were climbing in and out of it and behind the wheel. So maybe there's some future bus drivers from Stanwood. So appreciate you coming up there. And Tom, it's good to see you. You were from Sultan, right? Sonoma, excuse me. Sorry. I was an alternate when you were here and from Linwood back in the day. And so good to see you again. Thanks for coming. So that's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Mike Gallagher, you're there? Okay. Okay, thank you. Susan Payne.
I just have two comments for the good of the order. Number one was I had a chance this past month to use the lost and found service at the ride store. My daughter's wallet somehow got disconnected from her and she uses a disabled person's pass. And so they called me and then they said, well, you're gonna have to show some ID. It's like, I can show you a picture of her. Anyway, it was kind of funny. And thank you to the driver who made it so much better because without that driver picking up that purple wallet, I would have to get a new pass for her, a new state ID, and whatever else was in the wallet, and have some pretty rough feelings with my oldest. So that was number one. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Great customer service. And going along the line of customer service, I was trying to leave PetSmart the other day, and there was a big, just clouds of drivers, and the Zip shuttle driver backed up in the turn lane so that I could zip out of the driveway. Extraordinary courtesy, and I really appreciated it. I had been there for 5 minutes, and they were going to go in there to pick up a ride, I'm sure. But really wonderful customer service, and that makes all the difference. So thank you for all the abundance of training and just choosing good staff. It says a lot about your culture.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Wright.
I have nothing to add. Lots of good discussion today, though, information.
Okay, thank you. Before we adjourn, I have a quick question. Since this is an election year, do we have, and the board are all elected officials, and if they don't win in November, we're history. So do we know if any, no, that's true. So do we know if any, so does anyone know if any of us are running this year?
Well, I'm sure we know if we're running.
Well, I don't know from the other cities who's,
No, you just say, is anybody running? I'm not.
Councilmember Payne, I believe.
oh, Payne and Nearing are.
If-
Okay,
if
good luck,
Mary-
guys.
If Mayor Naring loses, we got problems. He's running unopposed.
Oh. Okay, good. That'll make me sleep better at night. Okay, any other questions or anything to bring up? Okay, then we are adjourned. Okay.